Um, Lots of stuff has been going on. Um, Lots of things have happened. Um, some of them were great, some of them were not so great. I'm still dealing with a lot of them, which will be coming to a vlog near you soon. But I was having kind of a shitty night, and then something happened that I just really wanted to share with you guys. My parents moved this year to a smaller apartment, and they had been holding on to a few boxes of mine basically since I went to university 10 years ago. So they said that they had these boxes, and I had left a few boxes with them when I moved to Korea, but I couldn't remember what was in the boxes that were packed up in Redmond, and some of the boxes in Redmond I don't think even I packed, because I think they were things that my mom put in boxes after I left, and they moved to a smaller apartment, which they did about 2 months after I went to Pacific. And I knew a few things had happened. This probably won't surprise anyone, but I had a lot of American Girl dolls. They were gifts from my grandmother mostly, and a few from my parents, birthday or Christmas. I loved them for the historical element. I loved them because I thought they were beautiful, and I loved them dearly. And I had one of them. I had Addie with me. My two first ones were Felicity and Addie. And my grandmother, I remember when I was 5, my grandmother gave me a vinyl baby doll. I think as a kind of test to see if I was ready to take care of an American Girl doll, because, I mean, they were like, I think they were $80 back then. $80 in the early 90s. Like, they're like 100 and something. They're well over $100 now, but, and most of the historical ones have been retired because Mattel bought Pleasant Company in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they went kind of marketing crazy, and lost most of the historical element to them. So I had Addie, but everybody else got left behind. And my mom had been selling some of my American Girl stuff on eBay just because I was 18 and not really playing with them anymore. And that was fine, I understood. But I know she sold some of the dolls, and that was fine too. But I didn't know exactly which one she had sold. And after I found out that Felicity was a retired doll and you couldn't get her anymore, I just sort of assumed that Mom sold her, because she had mentioned selling something else, a set that we had, and that someone had private messaged her and told her that she should raise the price on it because it was actually worth quite a lot more than what she had listed it as. So most of Felicity's stuff at that point was already pretty valuable. So I assumed Felicity went with Felicity's stuff. And part of that came out in my plans for my BJDs. So my ball jointed dolls, I had planned the 5 boys, and this is kind of how BJD collecting as it is goes. It's less collecting and more finding the sculpts that do what you want them to do or look the way you want them to look, and then combining them and customizing them, because they all come blank to you. And most companies now do heads. You have to get your body somewhere else. Only really big companies can afford to do heads and bodies together. But most of them make an effort to have the resin match somewhat so that you can mix and match fairly easily. And right now I have 1 complete boy doll, and I have 1 complete girl doll, and then I have, of the other 4 boys planned, I have all of their heads, which is the hardest part. I have all of their heads. One of them needs to be modded, which is something that I can't do myself. I have to send it to a modder to take care of. But the rest of them are just waiting for me to have the money for bodies, and bodies are expensive. They're like $500, so saving up. And my girl doll was kind of an unplanned thing. She wasn't someone that I planned. She was a doll that I saw, and I kind of fell in love with the sculpt and started playing with it in Photoshop, and she turns out, she's quite beautiful. I really love her. Um, but in the back of my head, I'd also been thinking about the dolls I had when I was growing up, and at this point in time, I wouldn't say that there's a very good black doll. Ipple House has some absolutely stunning sculpts, but the thing that would be my major complaint with it is that it's just really difficult to find a wig that is similar to black hair. I want natural looking hair, as natural as a doll wig can be, and it just doesn't exist yet, so I'm kind of holding out and hoping for that. But I had planned a Felicity, um, and still plan. Uh, she would be an Ipple House Junior, so a JID Titania, in normal skin, or maybe, yeah, normal skin. And she just had the right face to me. She just has a cute face that I associate with Felicity. The reason I went for a JID, which is the smaller size, because a regular SD is going to be between 60 and 65 centimeters tall, and then one scale, and that's 1/3 scale. And then the one step down from that is 1/4 scale, which is usually MSD, or for Ipple House JID. I had planned for JID because I wanted to take an actual Felicity Pleasant Company dress and modify it to fit a JID. And the only way that would work is because American Girl dolls are 45 centimeters tall. So the dress, it's much too wide. The scale of the bodies are completely different. It's much too wide, but there would be enough material there for me to alter it to fit a JID. So I actually went on eBay and I bought a Felicity Merriman dress, of the one that she came in default originally. I guess there was a second version of the default, but I got the Walking and Garden dress that I remember her having. But I still thought that my doll was gone, and it did make me sad. I have a thing with letting go and getting closure. That's the thing with me. The house that I mostly grew up in, I never really got to say goodbye to. I never got to do a walkthrough. I was at the new apartment. My dad's dog had just had surgery, so I was stuck there, and I never got to say goodbye to the house, and it still kind of haunts me, honestly, as you can see. It's nobody's fault, it's just something that really hurt me. I never got to do. And so finding new ways of closure has kind of been important to me in the past 11 years since then. And not getting to say goodbye to my doll was something, because Felicity was my first one. So after I successfully didn't destroy the baby doll when I was 5, I got Felicity for Christmas when I was 6, and I completely fell in love with her. She was beautiful. I loved her stories. I loved her character. So recreating her was like really important. Sorry, my tissues over here. Really important to me. But it was one of those things that I kind of always put off the back burner. Like, I keep an eye on the sculpt to make sure it's not being discontinued, because if it's being discontinued, I gotta snap it out. But I wanted to do that, and then so my parents they had 8 boxes of mine to send, and we hadn't sent them at this point because it's so expensive. But Mark, who I am no longer dating but was dating at the time, had a military address, so we could send it as if it were being sent within the United States, which is much cheaper. So we did that, and he just brought them over today. I already opened one that came a long time earlier and found a lot of really funny things. I found an old riding helmet. I found a few journals. I found my treasure cup. I had this cup of coins, and it had a letter from one of my great grandmothers, and it had like one of my grandmother's like math homework. I don't know. It's really, I'm gonna scan it because it's falling apart, but it was kind of hard to tell what it was. And a few books that I had. I collected old books, like all of the books in that box were over 100 years old. So, but I haven't taken them out of the box yet because there's bookworm in it. So I don't like there's the little silverfish in it, and I don't know how to get rid of those yet. So it's still in the box. But just so he brought the other 7 boxes over, and like I said, most of these were packed 10 years ago. I don't remember what's in them. So I opened one, and I saw a lot of what I was expecting, which is empty journals. I collected a lot of journals, and I would write for them in a little while, and then stop. So that wasn't surprising. I think there's a few CDs in there. I saw my playbill from when I saw Wicked when I was 15. And then slightly under a layer of newsprint, I saw a face that I haven't seen in a very, very long time. This is my Felicity. Her hair is a mess, but I want you to notice, see these 2 little curls by her face? These are default curls that she comes with, or she came with at the time, because these are actually part of her character. Like in the story, they mention her hair being like this and that she has slightly curly hair. The generation that I have has a slightly redder, coppery tone to the hair. The newer ones is a more red tone rather than an orange tone. She's got a chip on her eyelid, and there's like scuff marks on her vinyl. And you probably can't see, but inside her lip is red because one time I put lipstick on her and I couldn't get it out from in between. Some people think American Girl dolls are kind of creepy, and I guess I can see it, especially because they have the sleeping eyes. I can see how that's creepy, but to me this is just like... Then they all have the teeth too. They all have the gap teeth, which at the time, I did have a gap between my teeth. I got braces when I was 9 to fix my gap, but up until then I had a pretty decent gap. So basically everything about her just resonated with me. She loved horses. I loved horses. She was brave. I wished I was brave. She's dirty, and she needs a good cleaning, and she needs her hair brushed. But she's wearing her dress, and she's in one piece, and she's here. And just having her in my arms again is so weird and so cool. And the fact that, like, I sold Addie myself. My garage sale that I had right before I went to Korea. Because at that point, I thought Felicity was gone, so I didn't really see any point to keeping Addie. And so I had put her out at my garage sale for the very, very reasonable price of $10. Because I didn't have any of her clothes. I had her original dress, but none of the underclothes or shoes or anything. So I put her out for $10, and then this mom came up with 2 or 3 girls and asked about her. Said, what will you take $5 for her? And I kind of looked at her like, really? This is over $100 doll now? And then I noticed that one of the girls under her arm has like a semi-dressed, it looked like a Kirsten. It could have been a My Twin style one, but it looked like a Kirsten under her arm. And I realized, like, these dolls are so expensive. And the reason they're so expensive is because they're really sturdy. I mean, look at her. This doll is 22 years old. She's 22 years old. She's vinyl. Like, oh my god. And so I realized then that, like, I never, because I don't want kids, so my Addie was never going to go to my children. But I wanted her to go to someone who would love her and not put her on a shelf. So I said, yeah, $5, sure. And I handed her to the girl. Like, this is your girl now. So, I like to think she's taking care of him. Well loved. But I thought Felicity was gone. She's not. She's very cute. There are things that I mourn, that I grieve for, that seem silly to other people. There are things that I wish I could do just once more, or see once more, or hold once more, that I will never get to. And there are some things happening in my life that are kind of driving that finality of life home sometimes, and it's hard. But I opened one box and I found her. Just one out of 7 now. Before I opened them, I was trying to figure out, looking around my apartment, where I was going to put the stuff in them, because I didn't know what was in them. And now that I have one of those things, I'm so glad that I kept them. I kept one. And I'm still gonna make a Bolter Tail version, but for now. I can't stop hugging her. It's like seeing your best friend who just disappeared one day. 10 years ago. Like seeing your sister who was just gone. But she's not gone. She's here. I think she has my address from when I lived in Seattle. Oh no, just the phone number. This was my phone number when I lived in Seattle. We went to a couple doll meets, and my mom was afraid that we would accidentally. So not we would, because she knew that I could tell what was mine and what was not mine, because I had a crazy attention to detail. But she was afraid someone would take our dolls home by mistake. So we wrote our names and phone numbers on their back. Just at that point, I just had Felicity and Addie. Because, like I said, I got them for Christmas. So we moved to Seattle when I was 7. So I only had 2 at that point. It was Felicity and Addie. And then I think I got Kirsten. My brother got Samantha. I got Molly. I don't remember who was after Molly. Molly, then I think Josefina, and then I think Kit was the last one that I had. I remember being mad a little bit when Josefina came out because I was really gunning for a Native American doll. And Josefina was like, I still don't know why it took them so long to make a Native American doll, and I don't know. By the time Kaya, the American Girl doll, came out, I was not really into the dolls so much anymore, but uh, she's very dusty. um, yeah, uh, Josefina I got when I was 11, so Kit was when I was 12. And I played with them for a long time. I played with dolls. Like, I imagination played a lot longer than basically all of my friends. Um, I had a dollhouse that I was still playing with well into like 13, maybe even 14. Um, I just have always been into imaginative play, and I think that's part of what makes me a creative person in other parts of my life. So, having this piece of my childhood history. I want to brush her hair. I don't have a really nice wig brush, but this at least can help a little bit. Maybe if we're gentle. I don't know how fragile her hair is. It feels really dry, but it's plastic, so I'm just gonna be real careful. Girl, you got some split ends. I remember. So, the way that Felicity came, she doesn't, I don't make her anymore. Her hair is tied back in a ponytail, and in order for the ponytail to be like neat and pretty, um, it's kind of cut in a V at the bottom. My Felicity's got pretty severe, she had pretty bad split ends going on, and my mom, meaning well, but not really, I think, thinking it through entirely with me, trimmed her hair. Like, just took off the ends, just took off the split ends. I flipped my shit. I collected the bits of hair she cut off. I begged her to put it back on somehow. I was so upset that her hair had been cut, that it was not the same shape that it had been before, that it would never sit in the ponytail the way it had before. So, like, looking at it now with its straight edge, like, yeah, this is how hair is supposed to go, but her hair is all about how it looked in the ponytail. And I was really obsessed with keeping their hair the right way. Felicity's hair I took out and I brushed her hair, and I brushed Josefina's hair. But Kirsten's hair never came out of those braids, ever. Not once. Addie's hair was out, and then my next door neighbor, who would play with me, was brushing her hair so hard she was ripping it out of the scalp. So my mom did them up in very small braids, like not cornrows, but really tiny braids, a whole bunch of them. And that's how they stayed. Like, that's how they were when I passed them on to that little girl. So Addie's hair didn't get brushed either. I was real obsessed with keeping this hair neat and tidy. It's a mess! Oh my gosh. I wonder if there's a... not... doesn't seem to be breaking, which I guess is good. I haven't seen, like, metal wig brush like I used to have for them. I don't know where I could get one of those. Probably, I mean, I'm sure it exists because a lot of women here wear wigs. I'll ask around. Oh my god, I can't believe she's still here. I can't believe she's still here. This is amazing. I thought she was sitting on some collector's shelf somewhere. I didn't even think she was in the arms of a person who was playing with her like Addie is. God. Well, there's so much to your hair. I always forget. Looks like it was braided for a bit. Should we try that? I learned how to braid on your hair. So I couldn't really do it to myself. My hair was much too long to braid myself. Just let me get this center bit. That's where a big snarl is. So work that out. You can't see any of this, I'm sorry. Just like, God. She's here. When I saw her face, I just kind of lost it for a second. It's like, oh my God. I thought you were gone forever. It really was like seeing an old friend. It was amazing. Okay, let's pull this back. I always did this side first because you had those great curls. I'd smooth it out like that. You have little. Not all of the hair fibers are the same color either. So there's like variation in the copper that's in her color. Oh, hun, this side is a mess. Oh, hun. Okay, we gotta take care of that a little bit. Oh my goodness. Oh dear, this is a big. This maybe is not fixable right now. Oh, I'm getting it. I'm gonna be getting it. Close. Not that close. Okay, so just want to get it so that it goes back somewhat nicely. She had a few curls on this side too, but I think those are all out now. I just don't want to pull it off here. I'm glad you had a ponytail holder in when I found you, because I certainly don't have any anymore. I haven't had long enough ponytails in many years. Pigtails I've had, not ponytails. See, this is where the cut actually started to show, because her hair isn't actually long enough in parts now to do a really solid braid, so I kind of gotta fudge it a bit. And I can get at least that much, I think. Yeah, now where'd that ponytail holder go? Uh-oh, I lost it. Where'd I put it? Oh, there it is. Got it. Got it, we're good. Oh, shit, do I remember how to do this? Okay, this is kind of an old ponytail holder, so we're gonna do this. And hope it doesn't snap. Oh, it didn't snap. Yay. Okay. Oop. There we go. Isn't that better? So much better. It's not perfect. And canonically, you had it a little bit looser. What's with that wonky eyeball? There we go. And there she is. And there's those curls that I loved so much. Still do. Still love them most. Like, I was thinking to myself, I need to get a heat resistant wig for her so I can do the curls. Because they're such a big part of, like, they're mentioned in the books. So yeah, this has been 30 minutes of me reconnecting with one of my most beloved childhood toys. Her dress has these slits right here, and these are canonical. These are pretty common for this era's dress. So she's a colonial, so late 18th century. These led to her underclothes so that she could, they weren't pockets, but they were so that she could adjust her petticoats and things without having to take her entire dress off. which I didn't notice actually if the new one has. I think it doesn't. The one I got from eBay. The one I got from eBay looked strange. Like, it just didn't look right to me, and I didn't know why. It looked cheap. And honestly, holding her now, I think I still feel that way. Like, that looks like an imitation. This looks like the real thing, so who knows, man. Yeah, that just doesn't look the same. I won't be cutting this one up, though. No way. No way, no how. I'm glad you're here.